Hi, this is Dr. Kimberley Linert, and you're listening to Incredible Life Creator Podcast. My guest today is Sherri Danzig. Sherri is a wellness professional and has been one for 30 years. She's been a massage therapist, a doula, a self-care activist, a personal empowerment mentor, and a speaker. Welcome to the podcast, Sherri.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be on with you.
Yes. So why don't you start out by telling us a little bit about you, where you grew up, where you started out, and how you got into all these different professions and how you got to where you are today.
Sure. So I grew up in Jacksonville, Florida. So I've been a Southern girl my whole life, if you can't tell from listening to my the accent of my voice. And I started out, in the traditional, what do young women become? So I grew up with three brothers and I was the only girl. So, I got on the track of being, going to school to be a teacher. And I was excited about that. I decided to specialize in special ed. And my first job was in DeKalb County as a special education teacher in high school. I was 21 years old when I started, and my oldest student was 19. So that was kind of wild. And I loved it, but it wasn't the best fit. So I lasted 3 years. It was a combination of things, and so. But once a teacher, I feel like you're always a teacher. So I kind of took that profession. My family had been in the restaurant business the last 10 years or so before I left home. And so when I decided to not be a teacher anymore, I fell back on the food business. So I went into food sales. I went into being a food broker and then working for a distributor that has the big trucks and delivers food. And that was fun and interesting. And, the food part was creative, and I got some sales background in that. But ultimately, it wasn't the most fulfilling thing. And so I was married and got married, and then was trying to figure out, the whole, I want to be a mom. And so I was trying to navigate, how do I work and be a mom, and what was all that going to look like? And really kind of fell into the whole thing of discovering massage therapy. On a fluke, a friend invited me to come to an orientation class at the Atlanta School of Massage. And I said, yeah. And I had always had an interest in massage. I'd had a book. I kind of self-taught was self-taught in when I was in college. And so I went to the class, and I had such a comparison. It was so night and day from a sales meeting in this, big food company to the whole pace and energy of being a massage therapist. And I fell in love. And I came home that night and told my husband, who was a working part-time and full-time student, that I was going to quit my job. And I was the sole breadwinner. I was going to quit my job and become a massage therapist. He was not thrilled. But it was the absolute right thing to do. So I continued doing my sales job at night. During the day. I became a massage student at night, a couple nights a week, and got pregnant all at the same time.
Wow.
And so it was a lot. And so I went through my pregnancy as a student in massage. So it was very natural that when I got out of massage school, I fell in love with prenatal massage. So, I graduated school, quit my sales job. I was like done with that and jumped into being an entrepreneur. And that was 30 years ago. So I was a massage therapist, absolutely loved the work. But something happened. I got pregnant a second time, had twins, was pregnant with twins, and my back got really messed up. I'd never had back issues in my whole life. And all of a sudden I'm dealing with back issues, had the twins and still had back issues. And I'm a massage therapist. So 3 young little girls, babies, little girls, and I've got this terrible back issue, and I'm doing something physical. So it wasn't lining up as perfectly as I wanted it to. And a friend out of the blue introduced me to these magnetic products. And he knew me being a massage therapist. He introduced me to another massage therapist in Colorado. And I spoke with her, and he didn't know, a lot of people did not know that I was suffering with such a back issue, because I kind of kept it to myself. But I was completely, it was a terrible thing to be hurting. And I had started, at some point I gave up on being only natural, and I kind of felt like a traitor, but I was taking tons of Motrin to deal with my back issue. And here I am talking to my clients about natural ways to take care of their health, feeling like a hypocrite. And so I got introduced to these magnets, and darned if they didn't work. And so, I fell in love with these products and this whole idea of how to educate people other ways, new ways to take care of themselves. And so that was 22 years ago when I was introduced to these products. So I've mostly retired from massage. I do a little bit of massage. And so everything kind of led me to, I still feel like I'm a teacher. I'm somewhat in sales with these products, but it's mostly really the transformation and really educating people and participating in their wellness journey, which has expanded so much. So that's really, I feel like I have a very clear path to what I do now, which is very much educate people about their ways to take care of their health. And I love going in and talking to individuals. I love partnering with other health practitioners that would like a way to help their patients or clients have better health at home. Because if you're, a practitioner, you're only limited to what you can do with them when they're visiting you in your office. So I have these products now that can have an influence in people's home and everyday life. And then this past year was trained to be a speaker, so I can go out and really educate people on topics of self-care, because that's always been my passion. Is how can people learn how to take care of their health and take responsibility for their health. So that's where I'm at today.
Wow. So just wondering, when you say self-care, what do you mean?
So self-care is a very big umbrella. It's one of those terms that you hear a lot, but self-care, I have a website that's called Self-Care, the Best Healthcare. So self-care is anything we can do on our own. And that could be everything from meditation to getting a massage, to massaging yourself, to paying attention to how well you sleep, to taking good, eating well, taking in nutrition. It's 100 different things. But I think it's a mindset that we are ultimately responsible for our own health. And, sure, if you get in a car accident or, God forbid, you have some sort of a serious acute illness that shows up, then, the medical system has to intervene, and you have to maybe go see someone and let them kind of partner with you. But if we're, I think that's a big part of what's wrong with our healthcare system and why we have so much, we're not getting healthier these days, we're getting sicker. And I think it's because we've not been taught that we have the ability to do so much to take care of our health.
Why do you think that people sometimes just choose to ignore their health, or they just don't do it? Why is it that they don't love themselves, or why are we not doing this?
I think it's a lot. I think it's a lack of education, a lack of knowing. Some of it is we live a fast-paced, world, and we get so many messages that are out there saying, if you have this issue or that issue, no worries, we got you. You can take this pill. So we are a pill-popping society, and it's a frustration. I know that there are wonderful drugs out there that make a huge difference in the way people's lives, can be because of a medication. But we've been so reliant on that. But it has created us being, disconnected with our bodies. So I don't think this next generation, I don't think millennials think that way so much. I think it's, being, a boomer. I think that is our parents' generation. It was, it's uncanny how many medications people are on. There are people there, Americans are on literally billions of pharmaceuticals.
Mhm. And
So I think it's that. I think that's a big, powerful part of it.
so I know that I actually got some of these magnetic products from you. I sleep on a mattress, I don't know,
Topper. Hmm.
topper,
Hmm.
and I have a comforter that have magnets in it, and I've been using it for years, and I don't like sleeping without it. So when I go somewhere else or on a trip and I don't have it, I don't like it as much because I can tell a difference in my sleep
Yeah.
and everything. And as you're talking about people and popping pills and stuff, have you found that this magnetic therapy, does it help people to get off their medicine sometimes?
In my experience, and it's been over 20 years, I feel like it's a very high percentage. I don't want to. I'm not a numbers girl so much, but I know that statistically, it's over 80% of people that are using these products that get great results. And I mean, personally, I think I've probably 80 or 90% of the people that are using the products because of some sort of an issue. It's hard to know if you are. Sometimes we do things preventatively and we don't even know what we prevent down the road, right? We're hopefully preventing a lot. um, but I think that it's a very high percentage of people that, yeah, are able to stop taking medication. And not that, certainly I'm not in a position to make a medical claim. We don't make medical claims with these products. But the whole idea with these products and the whole idea of energy medicine is not focusing on the way the body works chemically, which is what pharmaceuticals do, is to focus on how the body works energetically, which also affects the body's chemistry, right?
Mhm.
So the what's ancient in the way we take care of health is Eastern philosophy. I mean, acupuncture has been around um, much longer than Western medicine. Eastern medicine's ancient, Western medicine not so much. And so the whole idea is that when you help the body, this is a Eastern philosophy, when you help the body find balance, it functions better. And I don't think anybody, even that's completely trained Western medicine, would argue that if you give the body what it needs, the body knows how to do its own healing. I fell on the tennis court a couple of years ago and I broke my wrist, and I really did a number on it. And I had to have surgery because it was like, Humpty Dumpty. I had to put some screws in there to get things back together. So that certainly helped to my healing, but I was cast and all that stuff, but my body took over and knew how to heal itself, as it does, right? And our body is continually regenerating itself. I mean, our cells are being regenerated every day. And so, hopefully that happens with good sleep, that we have, better regeneration than not. So we have to recover from stress every day. So the whole idea of being able to help the body create balance and give it what it needs, it's very basic. On a cellular level, we're only as healthy as our cells. And so on a cellular level, if we get the circulation we need to get nourishment in and waste out, our cells know what to do. I mean, our body knows how to heal itself for the most part. And so that's really what these products are doing. That's the whole idea of Eastern medicine. So, acupuncture, excuse me, massage therapy, even chiropractic, all of those modalities are about helping to find that balance and restore balance, restore the chi, the energy field, so that the body can do its own healing. And I've seen amazing things. You can call them miracles. You can call them, the miracle of how the body works. But I've seen such incredible ways that when you talk about your experience with sleep, that's really the foundation of our products, and it's really should be the foundation of how we think about when we want to improve our health. because in our society, you know, we're still in the first month of the year. So, you know, people traditionally make New Year's resolutions. They kind of go off the deep end, kind of, you know, Thanksgiving on is kind of a sugar fest a lot of times, right? We kind of party it up and get off our routine, and then we get back in January, right? And so you find that the gym parking lots are filled up, but they say that by February it's kind of, you know, tapering off. But people are thinking, when you ask somebody, well, what are your resolutions? They're going to get healthy. It's almost always exercise. Maybe it's diet too. Probably it's diet too. But it's those two. That's the focus. And actually, the foundation, the very first thing we need to focus on is how well are we sleeping? Because that's the time when we sleep, when our body has the opportunity to do its real healing and mending and recovery. And, you know, there's certain healing aspects to our body and our mind that only happen while we sleep. In fact, most of the things that from recovery happens when we sleep. So if we don't get good sleep, and we've been chronically underfed and under sleeping society. Mm-hmm. So sometimes, you know, so what do we do? We're exhausted. I'm saying we as a kind of a, you know, collective. And then we spend all day long trying to wake ourselves up with different chemicals, be it coffee or sugar, you know, these, whatever it is in these energy drinks and so forth. And then we have to, you know, dial it down and go back and get to sleep. And then we, you know, it's just a cycle that many people are running on. And I was kind of on that too. I mean, that's another part of my story, about not appreciating how important sleep was, because I was taught that by, you know, my mother kind of modeled that for me. She was a young mom, as that generation was. And so she was very young and all of a sudden had 4 kids. And, you know, how do you get everything done? If you're a working mom, you stay up late, you know, and that became my thing, where I knew I felt like I was kind of cheating time, where I could stay up. The family went to bed, and then I could get stuff done, you know. And my typical time to go to bed was about 1:30 in the morning. My favorite time to go to the grocery store was about midnight, because the stores were open. You know, we live in this society where you can just about do anything 24/7. Mm-hmm. So it caught up with me, you know, after a while, but myself was pretty sleep deprived. And, you know, I knew I was sleeping on these products, so I was getting away with it. I was sleeping myself on a mattress topper and a comforter. So I got good sleep when I went to sleep, but I wasn't getting enough sleep.
Yeah, I can totally, I mean, identify with you. When my kids were like babies, I remember thinking that same thing, you know, I have to get this stuff done. You know, the house is a mess or whatever. I got to get this done. And I remember on more than one occasion, and I was in an older house. This was before we renovated it. It was one of those as-is houses. So we didn't even have a dishwasher. I remember on numerous occasions standing at the sink washing dishes and actually falling asleep standing up.
Yeah.
And that's that new mom, you know, thing. It's like, okay, we're used to just taking care of ourselves, taking care of our house, and all of a sudden we have all these little people to take care of. And it's like, where do you carve out the time? And so that's where it gets carved out, right out of our sleep.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you know, my wake up call was being exhausted, coming home from the grocery store. You know, it's 1 a.m, and almost turning myself. I mean, like I blew up the neighborhood's electrical, because we have a driveway that is super steep. And I pulled up into my driveway. You know, I'm exhausted, but it's 1 a.m. I've done my grocery shopping. My garage door opener isn't working. I get out of my car. I punch in to open the garage door manually, get back in the car. And, you know, this very steep driveway. And I was driving my husband's car that it was clutch driving, right? So I put my foot down thinking I'm putting my foot on the brake to get, you know, so I can accelerate and get in the driveway. But I put my foot on the clutch. So I go rolling backwards, and we live in a cul-de-sac. And I went all the way flying back. Of course, it was, super fast. And the whole time I'm thinking, my brakes aren't working. And I fly into the cul-de-sac, hit the electrical box in the neighborhood, and this huge flame goes up, like, 10, 12 feet up in the air, maybe even farther. 2 fire trucks, middle of the night, people are standing out there staring at me in their pajamas, looking at me, and I'm feeling like I've just like practically, I almost like blew myself up. I jumped out of the car. My neighbor's like, get out of the car. And so, I would recommend that people don't need to have that kind of a drama as a wake up, but that was my wake up call.
Wow.
That I was running, and I was starting to do research about sleep. And then I'm like, okay, just because, so yes, I was doing all these great things to be sleeping on products that really do help you to sleep well. But you have to also, I learned so much more about sleep. You can't go to sleep at any time and think that you're still going to, bounce back. I mean, I was going to bed at 1:32 in the morning and not getting enough sleep. And so that was my wake up call, and started really becoming more of a sleep expert and really educating people now about how important it is to go to sleep. And it's as much of a health thing as it is, I think it's also self-care, of saying that whatever that thing is that we think we have to do to get it done, so we feel accomplished, so we feel like we're, super moms, we're working moms, and, it's not as important as we think it is. Go to bed, and, it may take a little bit longer to get some of these projects done, but take care of your health. You got to put your health first. And that's a big part of my message when I speak these days, is how important it is that self-care is about, it sounds bad to think about being selfish, but we have to be selfish. We have to think of ourselves. If we don't, as women, put our health first, we're not going to be around. We're not going to have our health to be able to take care of the people we love anyhow.
Exactly right. So I'm curious, as I'm listening to you, I'm thinking, okay, that topper I have and that comforter I have that all have all those magnets. How does it help me sleep? What are those magnets doing while I'm sleeping between them?
Well, think about how you need to charge your cell phone, right? And if you go through it and you don't charge your phone at the end of the day, it just dies, doesn't turn on, because you're charging the battery cell, right, of the phone. Well, every cell in our body is magnetic. We are magnetic beings. And so that's why an MRI reads the body. It's a magnetic resonance imaging. So we are magnetic. That is, every nerve impulse is magnetic. The way the brain sends signals to all over the body is magnetic. And so when you sleep on magnets, and these are not refrigerator magnets, these are science, it's the science of how magnets work in the body. So these magnets and they're placed in the topper according to the meridians. This goes back to Chinese medicine. If you look at a map or you look at an acupuncture map, there's energy meridians, and the magnets are strategically placed so they have the most optimal impact in the body. Very passively, you simply crawl in bed, you sleep on this topper. But the magnets are energizing, they give us energy. So they're recharging the body. It's like we're being plugged in, but it's natural. It's the Earth's energy. And so our bodies and the Earth are very similar in the fact that we need that. In fact, that's the way we were designed to get recharged, is to be outside, connected to the Earth. But how often are we in our, gardens working? Are we walking on the beach barefoot? We put shoes on our feet, and there's studies now about earthing or grounding, about, that disconnect. So we need to reconnect back to the Earth. So when you're sleeping on the magnets, it's as if you're laying right on the Earth and getting recharged. And as much as we think, well, sleep is that passive thing when we're quiet and not much is going on, it couldn't be, more untrue. It's quite the opposite. There's a lot of things happening. As I said, it's the time when our body is recharging. It's the time when our cells are utilizing the nutrition we put in. It's when our memory is being, is kind of going through and categorizing what we need to hold on to. It's so our minds are getting rebooted, and our whole body, and our muscles, and there's so many things happening. And so the magnets do multiple things. One is that they give us that energy so our cells work optimally, but it's also, some of the reasons that people don't sleep is because they have muscle pain. They have, maybe they've got some joint or muscle pain that they're dealing with. And so when you increase the blood flow in the body, when you increase that energy, the body, that's the way the body does its own healing. So it speeds up. We know that magnets speed up recovery. So they help us to feel better. It's like it's like getting a passive massage all night long. You're going to feel good if you had somebody massaging you all night long. Well, the magnets are doing that. They're functioning like that. So that's the function of the magnets. The comforter that you mentioned is, also fabulous. It has the special fibers in it, this bioceramic fiber that reflects energy like the sun. It's harnessing that sun's energy, and our body absorbs that and uses it. Again, it's a form of energy. And so it helps to speed up the way the body detoxes, because it's about nutrition in and waste out. So that's helping to balance. And one of the things that that bioceramic technology does is it balances our body temperature. So one of the reasons that, like, there have been very few times since I've been using these products that I don't have a comforter with me, no matter where I am. When I travel, even travel internationally, I carry a travel comforter with me. I have a chair pad that I'm sitting on right now in front with my computer. I sit on it when I drive around the car, and when I travel, I use it to sleep on. It's like my little mini sleep pad, and I have a travel comforter. So I take these things with me. But there was a time when I can't remember where I was, but for whatever reason, I thought I didn't have room in the car, and I didn't bring my comforter, and I slept terribly. And that's because I didn't have that way to regulate my temperature. Because part of when we're sleeping is our body temperature changes. So you get cold, you get hot, everybody's is different, but there is a fluctuation in your temperature based on what's going on in your sleep cycle. And if you're not sleeping well, you wake up hot or you wake up cold. So you kind of wake up, and then you have to get back into that sleep cycle. So it interrupts your sleep. And I was aware of being hot or cold all night long while I was sleeping with that. So you get used to that, where you're at the perfect temperature with this comforter, because it balances your temperature just perfectly. My husband cannot stand to be cold. I cannot stand to be hot. I didn't have these products when I was pregnant with the twins, and I went through the summer. So they were born in September, so it was like a super hot summer in that going through when I was last stages of being pregnant. And I mean, I thought we were going to fight every night because I had to have it so much colder. But now, since we have the comforter on our bed, we both get the right temperature. He doesn't get too cold. I don't get too hot. It's this, smart fiber that balances your temperature. So that's a big thing that impacts sleep as well. And so when you sleep well, when you wake up and you've really slept well, you feel it. You are sharper. You can think better. Your body feels better. You've got energy to really, charge your day, go through your day. Makes a huge difference.
Yeah. Well, like I said, I've been using mine for years. So the only time I find it gets a little bit warm is if I don't drink enough water that day. And I think that must have to do with the detox or something. So
yeah.
If I haven't had enough water, then things are off.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, water is another very important topic. Most people walk around, chronically underhydrated. Just a slight less bit of water, and your body is functioning differently. You're at a deficit. You don't think as clearly. You're not detoxing as much, like you say, and so yeah, it makes a big difference. if people do nothing else, because we talk about like a big, spectrum of different ways to influence people's health, the simplest thing you can do is to drink more water, and choose water that is actually hydrating, which is not usually bottled water. Bottled water is oftentimes way under par. So drinking more water influences just about everything, because our body has to have water. So those are, to me, the two big things. You got to sleep better. You got to be well hydrated. And if you do those two things, it's actually interesting, because it's, I was saying how we're so used to thinking, I'm going to get healthy. I'm going to go to the gym. I'm going to go on a diet. And it's been proven by sleep experts going back from like 70 years ago that the most important determinant, the biggest factor of how long you will live, is not diet, it's not exercise, and it's not even hereditary factors. It's how well you sleep. So going back to the sleep thing, it's important.
That is really important. So we've been talking about the physical parts of self-care, but what about, our mind, our mindset? In the last few days, I have taken out and started rereading As a Man Thinketh, which is this little booklet that's been around for probably 100 years. I don't know how, it's been around for a really long time.
Mm-hmm.
And it talks about if you have, healthy thoughts, good things are going to happen in your environment. And if you have what they call not right thoughts, not really making any moral judgment calls here, but thoughts that are not right in alignment with yourself, then your circumstances aren't going to be that great. You're not going to be very happy with them. And so how important is that mental, emotional piece?
Well, we've been talking about all this physical stuff, I think most people have read something, heard something about the connection, the body-mind connection. Our minds are so powerful that we can think ourselves into good health, and we can think ourselves into poor health, right? You mentioned this right away early on about me being a doula. So I go in and support women through their labor and do a lot of hands-on massage. And, for women, that's about as physically challenging an experience as they're ever going to have. I love it when I have clients that have like run a marathon or done some, extreme sport, because they know about the mental aspects of the sport, because athletes understand that you kind of have to push through those barriers, right? So the reason I bring that up is that everybody associates labor with the physical aspects of how hard it is. But I always tell my clients, it's as physical as it is, it's more mental, because our minds are so powerful. I've seen women actually, stop their labor because they're so stressed that their contractions stop because they're so stressed, right? I've also seen women that really have a very strong sense of, really strong mental health. They've done a lot of meditation. They've prepared in ways mentally using visualization, and their labors go much easier. It's such a mindset thing. So I've been studying the mind for many years myself. I've read a lot of the classics. My favorite now teachers have been Abraham Hicks, which is a phenomenal teacher about the law of attraction. And actually, we started a group maybe 6 months ago of like a group study of studying Abraham Hicks and studying that whole, we're studying some of the teachings there, and it's been wonderful. In a combination with doing meditation and really getting, on a daily basis, and if on a good day, throughout the day, of having those moments of really connecting to my inner being. I think we all have that. Many people call it, Abraham talks about it being the vortex or source energy. Some people would call it God or the universe. It doesn't matter what you give it, but it's that higher power, of connecting spiritually. Because when we can connect there, and we have that place meditation is really about, that stillness where our minds are not, we're not allowing ourselves to be, going a million miles an hour with thoughts, but to really connect back to ourselves, therefore that source. We can find that truth for us and come back to ourselves, if you will. And I think, when so often we want to look outside of ourselves for solutions. What I caught myself doing and have, through therapy and my own personal journey of studying and workshops and so forth, is to realize that the biggest thing that people can do, I think the biggest mistake people make overall is to be a victim. To feel like they're a victim. They feel like, it's got to be there's an excuse, there's a reason outside of ourselves of why certain things are not coming our way or not lining up for us, whatever it is, whether it's, something work-wise, relationship, financial, health, whatever it is, we're saying this is happening to us. Because when we do that, we're not taking responsibility. So it's easy to say, well, there's, woe is me, I have this terrible hard life. Look at my life. Look at all these things that are happening to me. Right. But when we do that, we also give away our control to fix it, to do anything about it. We're just stuck. And that's a terrible thing. So over the years in my studies, I've really, learned, I take responsibility for everything. When I'm having a bad day, when bad stuff is going down, I don't know if I can cuss on here because I would have said something, but when bad stuff is happening, it's like, okay, it's a time for me now. And I, instead of looking at, okay, who's doing this to me? It's like, what's going on with me? How am I feeling? What is triggering a fear? And so that's an opportunity to check in so that I can kind of redirect, reconnect with myself, have that clarity. And that has been incredible to be able to because when, it's all about, and this is the energy medicine, the physical part we've been talking about with products, but everything is energy. Our thoughts are energy. Our thoughts create things. So if we find ourselves in a place where we're struggling and we're feeling, fearful or sad, angry, those are all low vibrations. And so it's as simple as taking the time to get back connected to something that raises our vibration. And it's not that we're going to go from really, furious to like, everything is happy and delightful in a second. We probably don't turn that, over, but we can get to the next level of, from really, really angry to, frustrated, and kind of move it up by our thoughts, by choosing different thoughts, by connecting back to our truth. And boy, is that, it's a game changer. It's an absolute game changer.
Yeah, it really is. And it's so uncomfortable when we're disconnected from ourselves, or we don't have the clarity, or we're, we don't know which direction to go. And when you mentioned Abraham Hicks, it reminded me again of that same time in my life, actually, when my kids were quite young. She had written a book called Ask and It Is Given.
Mm-hmm.
And I just had that book, and I was reading, I was going through it, and I was following the steps. And she was saying, write down what you want. Write down why you want it and why you should have it. And so I did that. And I was just starting out in my, what you call, self-discovery journey, very, young 20s. And I remember going through those steps and doing it, with my heart, and actually thinking through it, and wrote things down. And I noticed those things starting opening up, those things starting to manifest or coming into my space. where I didn't know where they were going to come from,
Mhm.
but they did. And I was just in wonder, like, kind of like a child, like,
Mhm.
how did that happen? But it was really, it was me, and I'm a Christian. So I'm always doing my prayers. So it was me and God together, you know, getting clarity, being in alignment with who I am, and then making things happen with the thoughts. Like you said, thoughts are things.
Mhm. Mhm. Thoughts are things. And any amazing thing that anyone has created, whether it's a song or a concept of a new way to help someone, um, you know anything. I mean, it all starts with an idea. It's like, what is it that you want? And our subconscious mind, I mean, I think this is cool that it's been out there in the woo-woo world, and now it's becoming much more studied with modern psychology that is studying, the brain, and you can see how things, really to understand how the brain works. And so it's well understood that the subconscious mind does not know the difference between something that you actually have and something that you think about. And so we're so much a product of what it is that we see. And when we see something, we have that, it's very concrete. So it's not hard to imagine. But on the other hand, if all we've ever had is, like, let's say that you want to have, want to earn more money, and you come from a family where your parents didn't have a lot of money and you struggled a lot and you watched your parents be very stressed about money. And so we create these early on as children, we create these beliefs that then this is how we think about things. And so we actually will sabotage, maybe having more money coming in, because we have this belief that we're not, that money, making money is hard. Or maybe we've learned that if you make a lot of money, then you have to not be who you really are. You have to, that people owe you, or you owe them, I should say. So however we make these belief systems up, then we kind of work our whole lives to make that, to validate that. And so it's not, it's simple, but it's not easy to unravel those changes, and to understand that those are old beliefs. And to really kind of drill down of, why do we have this sense, what is going on really? What is that limiting belief about? And I've had a great time of being coached and coaching others about really getting clear about that, so that we can let it go. Because if we realize it's not serving us. And so, this, I write appreciation statements every day, and I talk about the abundance of the universe, because we have such an abundant universe. There's plenty of love and good and riches to go around for all of us. And we have to match that vibration. And to think that, what you did of spending time and really thinking about it, it's not the work is not the how, it's knowing that it's going to happen. And I have been a part of that, where there've been certain goals I've set, and then it's like, set a goal and then sit back and watch how the universe brings it to you. And I think it's almost like a game that we can play of. But the trick is that you have to continue to have those thoughts. You have to practice that, just like anything else. If you want to get good at, I'm a tennis player, so the more I play, the better I get, right? It's true for anything we do. We're exercising that muscle. And so our thoughts are a way of a muscle as well. And so we have to practice bringing that positivity in, and seeing beyond what's not there in the physical form right now. We have to see beyond. We have to imagine. And that's, there have been great books that have been written about people's triumph and stories where they've, against all odds, they're not letting someone, they make a decision of something that they want to do, And no matter what other people are saying, oh, that's a crazy idea, oh, that'll never happen. I was hearing a story today. I'm listening to a book on audio called You Are a Badass. And it's a great book. She's written several books, and it's all about the law of attraction. It's all about all this. And she talks about this friend of hers who goes to Italy, who doesn't have a lot of money, can barely make ends meet in the, living wherever she lives in the US, goes to Italy, decides she wants to buy a villa. And she comes back and she's told the realtor there, don't, take it off the market. I'm going to buy this. And she comes home and meets, everybody's saying that's ridiculous. You can't even afford to get your teeth cleaned. How are you going to, how are you going to do this? How are you going to do this? And, there's always a way. And she figures out a way. And so, the end of the story, it was that she's had the very successful, she figured out a way to get the finances, and she's now in a position to buy another villa in Italy. So, if we have that conviction and we can see it, then we see beyond, do we look at the reasons it's not going to work, or do we look at the reason that we want it to work?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So we're talking somewhat about, actually being in alignment with yourself. So before you can put that vision forward of what you want, you really have to get in alignment with it yourself. Just like when you said you went and saw that demonstration on the massage at the school, and you're like, oh, this is it. You almost knew right away that that's your alignment. That's where you're supposed to be. So what's the keys to finding your alignment in life, or in a profession, or in anything?
I think the key is to really pay attention to ourselves and give ourselves those quiet times where we can listen to ourselves. And then, I have, in my whole journey, I've learned to listen to my gut. And I've also spent a lot of years, my early years, not listening to my gut, and then realizing, that you knew that there was something, it wasn't good, and you did it anyhow. So I think this is a good thing about wisdom, is that hopefully in age, we learn to listen to our gut. So I think that's a big part of it, is to listen to when I'm not feeling right, when something feels off, is to stop and think, and to kind of, because I'm a big talker. I love to talk, and I love to process things with a friend. And that can be very helpful to talk through things. But ultimately, I think it's about us listening to our own inner self and figuring out. I think we have the answers, and maybe talking it out to someone, then you figure out what the answer is. It comes to you. So I think it's practicing listening to ourselves. And there's nothing better than having the respect and self-love to listen to ourselves, that we, really, that comes first. And that maybe that's where I was saying about being selfish, that you have to be selfish enough to be wanting to have that alignment, because when you have that alignment, then you can be fully who you are. So there's a number of tools that I use. I mean, one of the tools is to, there's exercises you could go through, and picking value words, and it's fun to do it with a partner, to create, what are your top values? Is it, and I think to have a few words, words can be very powerful. And, I was taught with my coaching experience as being coached, about creating a mission statement, something that's so simple. I listen to sometimes people have mission statements and they're super long and wordy. And I think it's better to keep it really short and sweet. For a long time, my mission was to create joyful connections. And, I've got a little bit longer one now, but that was so clear that I could get into any situation where I might be fearful. And all I had to do is to realize my purpose is about creating joyful connections. If I'm doing that, everything else is going to be fine. So when you have a mission statement that really clarifies what is the most important thing to you, now it's really, for me, it's about experiencing love and happiness and empowering others to live their best life. And so it's that simple. So I can make decisions based on, is this in alignment with who I am? Because I've identified what's most important to me, right? Who am I going to serve? What's more, how do I want to feel every day. I want to feel love and happiness. Those are my two top words. So I think it's about feeling that. Another exercise that I love that I think really helps us to be connected to our alignment, and it's these two little tiny words called I am. And someone taught this to me many years ago, and I have spoken about it on stages and coached people about it. It's one of the most simple things that you can do as a tool to write these words. They're affirmations to yourself, right? So it's about looking at who you are, and when you say I am, you're triggering your subconscious. You're taking it, it is the essence of who you are. So it's they're words of alignment. And the exercise is to start with 100 statements. And you can start in something very simple, like I am a daughter, I am a sister, I am a friend, I am a wellness consultant. And then to go on to, and so, it can be everything from I am brave, I am smart, I'm wealthy, I am well, and on and on and on. And everybody creates their own list. And so it's a tool that, what I love about it is you can write it down, which is super helpful. I've seen people that are artistic to make it, very artsy and create something that they look at and they read every day. The way I most use it is if I feel myself being stressed out or, in a kind of a low vibration, I will start speaking it out loud. And I might be driving along, and I love the fact that now everybody has Bluetooth in their car. So I used to be self-conscious when I was talking to myself, that people would, look at me and think I was talking to myself. Now you can pretend like you're on the phone. I'm talking to myself, but nobody does that. So I am myself on my way to an appointment or on my way to wherever I'm going. So I am myself into a better place. And, I just start out and I use this I can pull it out anytime. It's great when you can say it out loud, but if you're in a situation where you can't speak it out loud, you can say it to yourself. Mm-hmm. And so that's a wonderful tool. And that is truly about, getting back in alignment with your best self. It's, we would never talk to our children. Well, sometimes we get mad, but a baby or our friends, the way we talk to ourselves oftentimes. Our critical voice can be the most critical thing we hear. The way we talk to ourselves, it's terrible in many cases. And I think the most important person who talks to us is a lot of times we want to hear from somebody and we want them to tell us that we're okay, that they love us, that they appreciate us. But really and truly, it's what we say to ourselves. That's the most important thing. And I have to tell you that there have been times where I did this kind of intuitively, where I had been in a struggle with my husband, and we were just in a tough place. I've been married for 35 years. You're going to have tough places when you've been married that long, right? And I got off the phone with him one day, and he did not. I was in this very high place. I was super excited about I was going to a workshop, and he didn't get it, and he was in a whole different place. And I got off the phone, and I felt so hurt and so unheard and so, unappreciated, and on. And I could have just been I could have gotten to that workshop in a big time pity party. But what I did instead is I hung up the phone from him and I started another conversation, and I pretended like it was him saying it. So I was saying, I was letting him talk, and I was saying to myself what I wanted him to say, and it was all these words of encouragement. And then I realized, as I've learned the I am, that is simply what you're doing, is we're giving ourselves that love, that appreciation.
Wow. I love that. I really love that. So just to change gears a little bit, what gives you the most happiness, fulfillment, joy in your life right now?
Well, the highest thing is spending time with my family. I have three. My daughters are adults now. My oldest she just turned 30 this month. Oh my gosh. So yeah, that's the 30 years of being a massage therapist. I was pregnant with her when I started. So, and then I have the twins, and they're 26. And so, spending time with my girls, my husband, when we're all together as a family of 5. And then Thanksgiving this year, we were a party of 21. So that's my brothers and nieces. So, that is such pure joy, pure joy. We are so blessed that we have this, great family. We are a loud family. We're big, we're snarky, we're sarcastic, but we love to laugh. So, I feel very blessed to have that relationship with my family and my extended family. My mom is still living. She lives about 7 minutes away from me. So that's, that is a big time joy. I've got my 4-legged son down here who, if I ever need to remind myself to not take myself so seriously, life's not so serious, I just have to play with him. Dogs are wonderful for that. He's looking at me like, aren't you going to play with me now? So, it's those kind of basic things. It's being able to, for me, I love travel, but traveling, going to the beach and just, sitting on the beach and playing cards at night and working on a puzzle. Really, it's got to be very simple things, So those are things that, feeling really connected, having great conversations. I'm blessed with wonderful friends. So it's really the time to spend with the people I love and to be, it's that being ourselves, So for me, being myself is laughing at farts and, having lots of belly laughs and laughing at the simple things in life. And, it's all of that, a great story. Love reading, love listening to podcasts, can certainly, watch. If I'm watching anything, it's a movie or book, it's about somebody's story. It's a great story. I love great stories.
Awesome. So I know that there are people who would love to connect with you. So, Sherri, I think you have a Facebook page. You want to share that with us?
Absolutely. So you can find me at Sherri Danzig. You can, I don't know if there's other Sherri Danzigs out there. There probably are. But my website and one of my pages is called Empowering Wellness on Facebook. And then my website is Empower the World with Wellness. .com. And I don't know if I should give my phone number out, but I'd be happy to do that as well. My email address is my name, Sherri, at sherridanzig.com. So I don't know if you're going to put something out there that would have my contact information. That'd be great.
Put that in there.
And I'd love to mention that we have an upcoming retreat. So the company that I am partnered with has this training. And so a big part of my whole journey in personal development has been, the products, the energy medicine products, and the company's real core is about personal development. And so they have a training that was started 45 years ago. It's called Humans Being More. And Humans Being More is all about, that's a great place to come in and find what your mission statement is, to write a mission statement. It's about personal leadership and business leadership, but the training it's not at all about the company or the business or the products. It's all about you and about you being a humans being more. It's about finding out what really lights you up and creates your passion and what you value and what kind of trips us up. And so it's this 2-day workshop of focusing on yourself. And so we're doing it very different this year in that we're offering it as a retreat. So it's going to be in at the Sautee Retreat Center, which is in North Georgia. Incredibly affordable. I mean, for anybody that loves a retreat, I mean, retreats can cost, upwards to many hundreds to even a couple of $1,000s. This is a 2-night. We're going to start Friday at lunchtime and end, right at lunchtime on Sunday. The training nets out to be free. It's $100 to sign up for the training, and then after the training, you get $100 back with the company of these energy products. So you get a credit. So you've paid the company, but then they pay you right back for attending. And anybody can go. It's any guest. Kids can go if they're 16, if they're mature and they're interested in personal development. We have these beautiful cabins. I mean, it's a gorgeous facility. And they're going to be home cooked meals, and to stay for 2 nights, double occupancy is $160. So it's 2 nights and all the meals. So it's really reasonable and beautiful. And that's coming up March 13th through the 15th. So if anyone is interested in more information, they can reach out to me, and I'm hosting the event and I can help you get registered for it. So it's going to be a blast.
Yes, and I have to say I did attend that retreat a few years ago, and it wasn't at that beautiful retreat center. I think it was like at a hotel or something.
Hotel. Yeah.
But still, the you dig deep into yourself. It's all about you. It's all about finding out who you are, your mission, and it just gives you that quiet time with others to find out who you are and what you want. So many times in our lives we're rushing here and there, but that's all those days to just think about yourself. And we need to think about ourselves. It was very, very helpful to me, and I took my daughters and it was helpful to them, and I made some wonderful connections with some people. So I highly recommend it to anyone that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, usually oftentimes these days it's only a 1-day workshop. But now to have both the full days so we can get all the different exercises in, which are just powerful. And to be able to, there's something about not having to go home, you drive home, you go home, you got to, wash dishes or put in a load of laundry, and you kind of get back into your life. And then you go back the next day for the second day of the workshop. So to be able to have 2 days that you're away, you're in the mountains and you can go for a hike, and I'm sure we'll have at least one night of like a big bonfire, because it's March, it'll still be a little crisp at night. So to really escape from, our lives, to put it's like a giant meditation, where if you can press pause for long enough to have some introspection and kind of, just step back, is when we realize we can really appreciate what it is in our lives that we want more of, that we love, and that we want to continue and grow. And I think it's a real gift to yourselves. So come back. We'd love to have you come.
Yes. Well, thank you. Well, thank you so much for being on the podcast today, and for all the inspiration you're giving people and educating them on how to be healthy and love and take care of themselves. I so appreciate you.
It's been a pleasure. Thank you.
Yeah. So any last words of advice on how to live the most amazing, happy, fulfilling life?
It's to choose to do so. It is really a choice. And so whatever has been going on in your life to present, it's every day is a new day. It's play a game with yourself tomorrow of not allowing yourself to be anywhere else but present. And I think it's a matter of trying that on, of like saying, I'm not gonna, every time I catch myself thinking about something from the past or worrying about something in the future, I'm going to just say, pause and just, being really present with people. And tomorrow's Friday, we're going into the weekend, and you can do that on any day, and then, try it for the next day and the next day, of really catching yourself and bringing yourself back to being really present. And, I hope that you'll make time. For me, it's making that commitment, and having an accountability partner, I think, helps as well, of saying, these are the things that these are the new habits that I'm going to focus on. And then having somebody that you can check in with, so that I think it's easier to have a buddy that you're doing that with. So that's been has made this process easier. I literally have somebody I send my appreciation statements to every day, 7 days a week.
Wow. Well, thank you so much, and we will talk to you again soon.
Thanks a lot. Take care.